What I want to talk about today is asking for what you need. What I want to encourage you to do is to stop looking externally for your own fulfillment. We have the power to meet those needs ourselves. For me, journaling has been a huge tool that I've used to do this. These are all things that help me show up for myself. Welcome to the Well Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Alexandra. It is a stormy day out there, so I thought it was a perfect opportunity to get some cozy clothes on, pour myself a cup of tea, and record a quick solo episode for you. What I want to talk about today is asking for what you need. This is a huge conversation that keeps coming up in both my personal life and my professional life with clients. It's also been a huge theme of my life this past year. And I know most of you are probably thinking that I'm referring to other people, asking for what you need from others, whether that's friends or family, whether that is the universe manifesting, or whether that is just learning how to properly set boundaries and communicate to others. But what I really want to focus on, and while those skills are important, don't get me wrong, they're extremely important and great practices. However, what I want to encourage you to do is to stop looking externally for your own fulfillment and to start going inward, looking at yourself, asking yourself, how can I be that thing that I'm looking for from somebody else? All that you are perpetuating when you do that is codependent behavior, because you are relying on something or someone else to make you think or feel a certain way about yourself. There's nothing self-loving about that. Self-love comes with compassion. It comes with space, mindfulness, and opportunities to love yourself and accept yourself, flaws and all. So even when you are feeling as though you are lacking, that is the best time to show yourself the most compassion. That is the best time to show up for yourself and give yourself what you want. Even when we do know how to set clear boundaries or communicate clearly or ask for what we need from others, it does not mean that we are going to get it. We can request it, but it also doesn't mean that it's going to be well received or that our friends or family or whomever it is that we are asking for these things from are going to give it to us. And so to bypass all of the potential disappointment because your expectations are not being met, we have the power to meet those needs ourselves. So as an example, I'm going to try and think of a few ways that I've learned to do this for myself. So for example, when I am feeling lonely or isolated in the evenings, I'm a early morning person. I go to bed quite early, but there's a time period from after dinner to bedtime where I often feel unseen, unheard, and by myself. And instead of asking myself, who could I call or who could I spend time with or who could I have a conversation with so that I don't feel so lonely, I started asking myself, what would I say to somebody if I was asking for what I needed? And how do I reposition that and ask myself? For me, journaling has been a huge tool that I've used to do this. So for example, I would pull out my journal and I would start with a journaling prompt that said, Lauren, what do you need in this moment? And if we're going to let's run with loneliness as the example, just to keep it streamlined and clear. And so if I'm asking myself, Lauren, what do you need in this moment? I need powerful conversation or meaningful conversation or maybe just silly conversation, but some kind of interaction, some kind of connection. I am seeking, maybe a hug. I'm feeling lonely and I could use a hug. That's another thing that comes up. So what I'll do is I'll ask myself that first journaling prompt. Lauren, what do you need in this moment? And often what comes to mind is all the ways your partner or your friends or your family or other people can meet that need to satiate your palate, to make you feel like, okay, I'm fulfilled now. These people have shown up for me and they've done it. But what I want you to consider is asking for what you need and just bullet pointing it of what it is that would feel good in this moment. And then the second journaling prompt to ask yourself is, how can I give that to myself? How can I meet these needs without anybody else's involvement? So if it's a hug that I need, maybe what I need to do is to go and hug a stuffed animal. I know some people have, comfort blankets or stuffies or even a pillow. works great. I have an old stuffed animal from when I was young, and I have a Care Bear that I recently bought a few years ago because a Care Bear thing came up in one of my journeys. And so I will go and I will find my Care Bear, or I will find my stuffy, and I'll give it a hug. It may sound silly, but you are literally asking and answering for yourself. If I'm wanting meaningful conversation, I'll ask myself, what kind of conversation do you want to talk about? What would make you feel fulfilled in this moment? And I can journal that conversation out. I can be reflective. I can ask really great questions, and I can also answer them. So it's really about slowing down, getting quiet and mindful to really be able to discern what it is you're missing. What's the feeling you're trying to feel that you don't know you already have access to and that it's already existing within you? You need to be able to show up for yourself with self-love. Self-love means unconditional love, acceptance, flaws and all. This journey does not have a finish line. There's never going to be a time in which you feel as though you're done. And for people who are on this journey, I imagine all of you that are actually listening to this podcast, you will wholeheartedly understand that. But what you may not recognize is just how codependent we can be. Codependent behavior is very sneaky. And when you are missing something or feeling as though you're missing something from yourself, I want you to ask yourself, are you looking to somebody else to give that to you? If you are, this is the perfect opportunity to sit down with this journaling prompt and say, what is it that you need in this moment? Your next question is, how can I give that to myself? The more that you practice those two simple questions, you will be able to meet your needs, learn how to identify them faster, and also find peace in them. What you're going to find out when you do this work and when you take the time to practice, because consistency is key here, is that you will need other people less and less. You will rely on them less and less. Because when you look to other people to satiate a need, that's codependency. You are relying on somebody else to make you think or feel a certain way. And that's not going to be helpful, because if you're seeking it from this relationship or this friendship, eventually you may outgrow the relationship, or you may outgrow the friendship, for example. But at the end of the day, you're just going to go on to the next relationship or seeking the next friendship to have that person meet that need for you. So I'm encouraging you to ask yourself, what do you need, and give it to yourself. I'm going to repeat this probably 8 more times before we're done today. But it's so important. You have the inner wisdom. You know better than anyone what it is that you need. Even when your closest friends show up for you, they don't always show up for you the way that makes you feel loved or supported. We all feel loved and supported in different ways. And that's where that skill set of learning to communicate your boundaries and what it is that you need from them is really powerful tool. But what's more powerful is you being able to ask and answer those calls for yourself. That is what building that true connection to authenticity is. That's what tapping into your inner wisdom is. Because what you seek now from others, you won't stop seeking until you can meet that need on your own. It is just going to transfer from relationship to relationship or friendship to friendship, and your expectations are always going to be let down. So why not take things into your own hands and do it for yourself? If you need more tips on how to get in touch with your inner wisdom, ask yourself for what it is that you need and how to meet that need on your own, I would love to have further conversation about this. I'm curious to know who else is struggling with this, or if there are things that you need that you don't know how to answer for yourself, or you don't know how to find within yourself. Part of creating a care plan, which is something that I worked on this past year with my coach, became very clear the importance of setting yourself up for success. I know that in order to feel good about myself, I need certain things, not from anybody else, but for myself. I need to sleep 8 hours. I'm not a pleasant person when I don't sleep 8 hours. I don't function well. Can I? Yeah, of course. But is that setting me up to be my most authentic self, my best self, my highest self throughout the day if I don't? Absolutely not. I know that I need movement multiple times a week. I know that I need meditation and breath work multiple times a week. These are all things that help me show up for myself. It's what gives me the capacity, the compassion, the love, the time, the space to show up and be that person for myself. Something to think about. Anyway, if you have any more questions, I'd love to hear them. Hope you have a great day, and I hope this was helpful.